Well, howdy folks. We got a lot of people wondering what it costs to build a tiny cabin like this. So in this video, we're going to take a look at all the building costs that went into building what you see here today and break it down for you. I'll give you the spoiler alert. We're talking about $4,200 Canadian, somewhere in there. So let's break it down and see exactly where that money goes to get you one of these. So this is somewhat of a supplement to the 12-day tiny cabin build video on our channel. So if you haven't seen that one yet, be sure to go check out the complete build story on the link above when you're done here. For now, let's start at the bottom and work our way through the various stages of the build to price out each chunk of the process. The foundation was carved from the prairie soil for a box of beer, and I'm pretty sure I helped drink at least a couple of those, so I'm not sure if we can count it in the price or not. For now, we'll call it incidentals. On the top of the clay base, we used 6 deck blocks and some scraps of treated 4x4 posts. I think I only paid for 2 of the blocks and salvaged the rest. On these, we built skids and doubled up treated 2x6s 16 feet in length. The cabin floor was constructed with 2 more 16-footers, 5 8-footers treated, and 8 non-treated for the interior. This made up the framing for the floor. On the bottom of the floor frame, I nailed 4x8 sheets of 7/16 OSB to seal the floor from the bottom and provide something for the insulation to sit on. The insulation is just pink R20, of which we needed 1.5 bags. Sandwiching that, we have 3 3/4-inch subfloor panels. So our cost for the foundation adds up to 2 concrete deck blocks, 6 2x6 16 treated boards, 5 2x6x8 treated, 8 2x6x8 standard, 3 4x8 sheets of 7/16 OSB, 3 4x8 sheets of 3/4-inch subfloor, and 2 bags of pink R8 insulation, for a grand total of around $385 Canadian. That's about $285 US. Next came the framing, in which I'll include windows and the door. For framing, we just used cheap 2x4 studs for the majority of the walls, and standard 2x6 for the headers and loft joists. The loft also used some 1x6 fence boards as flooring, and the exterior of the cabin was clad in 3/8-inch plywood, which we also used for the soffits. The roof rafters are 2x8s, and the ridge beam is a 2x10, and 2x8s also serving as fascia. As for the windows and the door, I only paid for the door and the door jamb, $100 used. The rest we salvaged over a period of time here and there. So the total for a sealed up cabin shell with a loft, windows, and a door adds up to 63 2x4 studs, 6 2x4 12-footers, 11 2x6 8-footers, 26 2x8x8s, 2 2x8 14s, 1 2x10x14, 14 4x8 3/8-inch plywood sheets, 13 1x6x6s, 20 1x4x8s, and 6 1x2x8s. Used door and door jamb. Grand total for all of that is $980 Canadian, or around $730 US. I splurged a little on the roof because I didn't ever want to have to shingle a 45-degree pitch, especially 20 years from now when I'm in my 60s. It's a relatively small roof, so we only needed 8 panels to cover, but you still need strapping underneath that to fasten it to, roofing screws, ridge cap, gable trim, to ensure all that keeps tight and keeps the elements out. So it adds up something like this. 8 steel panels, 1 ridge cap, 14 feet, 4 pieces of gable trim, 12 1x4x12s, and around 300 roof screws. Grand total somewhere around $450 Canadian, about $335 US. At this point, the cabin was fully sealed up and weatherproof, but it wouldn't keep us warm yet. For the interior, I was lucky to have a friend save a truckload of R12 insulation from a home restoration job he knew about, so this insulation covered about half the walls in the cabin and helped out a lot. The remainder of the walls used standard pink R12, and in the roof we used R22, and then vapor barriered and acoustic sealed as you do. For the wall board, I chose a 1/8 inch press board with one side that was already finished white, thinking it would save me some time and money in the long run, which I guess it did. All told, the interior breaks down something like this: 2 bags of R12 insulation, 4 bags of pink R22, 1 roll of vapor barrier, 3 tubes of acoustic sealant, 18 4x8 sheets of wallboard, 24 1x2x8s, and a bunch of nails. Total cost about $760 Canadian, around $565 US. Let's look at the wood stove separately, as this is another big investment in the cabin. We chose the cubic mini cub because there was no room for a larger floor-mounted stove as discussed in other videos. We needed something that would mount on the wall to allow for clearances and the remaining interior items yet to come. I got lucky with a Christmas sale and got the stove for only $3.99. I also purchased 4 sections of 24-inch double-walled pipe from the company. I then needed a 12x12 pitch roof flashing, some rock wool, and a section of 5-inch ducting to insulate the pipe outside and a cap to keep the rain out. The heat reflector and wall mounting stand I built, all out of scrap material that I had lying around the shop, so the cost to me was nothing except for maybe a few cents of MIG welding wire. The wood stove cost adds up something like this: cubic mini cub stove, 4 sections of 24-inch double-walled pipe, Duravent roof flashing, 1 box of rock wool, 4-foot section of 5-inch ducting, and a chimney cap. Total for that, about $750 Canadian, somewhere around $560 US. Finally, the interior has a double pull-out bed and storage bench, the sliding barn door for the bathroom, a kitchen counter and cupboards, as well as a rolling pantry for storage. All these were built with a combination of salvaged and new materials and are estimated here. About 3 1x6x5s, 26 2x4 studs, 10 1x4x8s, 7 2x2x8s, and a total of new material somewhere around $125. That's about $95 US. So let's take a final look at the rough estimates and see how all the stages add up. Foundation and floor, about $385. Framing, sheeting, and exterior trim, about $980. Roof, about $450. Interior insulation and boarding, $760. Wood stove, $750. Interior furnishings, about $125. So altogether, about $3,450. Now where I live, there's about an 11% sales tax on everything, so that brings it up to $3,830, about $28.45 US. Now I'm sure I've blocked out a few additional costs from memory, and I can certainly remember running to the local hardware store for an extra roll of tuck tape or caulking, or bought some hardware for pulleys or whatever, so I'm comfortable throwing an extra $400 forgotten dollars on this number and rounding it all out to around $4,200 Canadian or $31.20 US. That amount should get you a pioneer style level of what we built here the first year. Since then, we've done upgrades such as propane heater, $890, the eaves troughs, $200, and a solar system with some lights, around $350, mattresses, maybe $120, and some homey touches like curtains and that sort of thing for about $40. So as it stands today, I say we're into it for about $5,800 Canadian. That's about $4,300 US. It'd cost more if you bought all the materials new, less if you had time to collect them and salvage everything. So where are some places you could save some money? Well, we certainly spent a big portion of the budget on heating, which makes sense considering the climate dips below freezing for 6 months and goes subarctic for at least 4 months out of the year. We're very happy with the money we've spent on heating, considering the redundancy it allows us and the space that it allows us within our tiny cabin. That said, if you're in a more temperate climate, your needs may be different. Perhaps you don't need to fit a family of 4 and a full-size deerhound in your tiny house. Therefore, you can have a regular stove on your floor. Lucky you. For us, we needed tiny solutions. You might save a few dollars doing shingles instead of a steel roof, but honestly, for about the $150 that I'd save, I'm sticking with the forever solution. Honestly, I think we did it for about as cheap as I could have done it for. If we'd had more time, I could have scrounged and salvaged more materials. But the timelines for us were short. Winter was coming on, and I wanted to be in and warming by the fire before it was too cold for the camper to protect us. Okay folks, so that's about it. There's the breakdown for you of what we've spent on this tiny cabin. I hope that helps. I hope it answers some of the questions that you guys have had. If you have any questions or other comments, please use the comments below and hit that like button if you thought it was something useful for you. And we'll see you on the next one.